Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, one or two still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Everybody, and welcome to another night of live Penguin TV. My name is Jordan. I am your host tonight, and this evening I'm going to be talking all things Little Penguin with all of you as we watch the smallest and, in our opinion, the cutest species of penguin, the little penguin, make their way home from the ocean across that tiny little stretch of beach we can see in front of us and back to their home here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia. Tonight I am joined by the lovely Megan! Hello, Megan.
Hi, everyone.
What are you going to be doing tonight?
Well, I'm going to be looking through the questions and comments on YouTube and Facebook. So send through any questions you might have about the penguins or anything here at Phillip Island Nature Parks that you want to know a bit more about. And if you watched last night, pop in your guesses as to how many penguins you think crossed the beach last night, and we'll see who gets closest.
Yeah, Megan's going to be scrolling through the comments to see, and she'll give a few shout outs to the people who guessed the closest. And if this is your first time watching live Penguin TV, here at the Penguin Parade, we have been counting penguins nearly every single night since 1968 for a grand total of 50 minutes, so 50 minutes. And every night we get a different number of penguins crossing the beach because these are marine birds, and they spend about 80% of their lives out in the ocean. The ocean is their supermarket, it's their playground. As soon as they come on land, they're effectively on a diet or they're fasting because they only eat seafood. So every single night we do have different numbers of penguins coming in. It's usually similar to the night before. So I'll give you a couple minutes to get your guesses in and then give Megan a chance to scroll through and find some of the closest guesses, and then she'll be able to let us know who was the closest to our actual penguin count last night. But we are kind of heading into the breeding season at the moment. It's even though it is winter and it's still a little bit cool, it's starting to feel a little bit more like spring, which is a very exciting time for our little penguins here on Phillip Island. Oh, and hello, speak of the devils, look who has just washed up right on the water's edge. I think this may potentially be our first little group or a waddle of penguins that we call on land, and it is only a fairly small, someone's decided that it's too scary to, more of them are heading back. So we do, these penguins here at the moment, they're going to be a little bit nervous at the moment because crossing the beach at the end of the day and when they go out in the morning as well, it is the scariest time of day for these little birds because it's when they're the most vulnerable to predation. So, a few more have decided to abandon ship. Is the one at the front going to figure it out? Or are you feeling brave? I'm not sure. So what these little penguins are doing is they're waiting for it to get dark enough that they've gone, yep, we reckon that all those predatory birds that are flying around during the day, they think they've gone to bed for the night, and that means they can do their dangerous dash across the beach where they're really visible. So they only want to cross the beach once those birds of prey have gone to bed. And while they're out in the ocean, they have a beautiful top layer of navy blue feathers, which helps them camouflage against the surface of the water. So they're really, really well camouflaged. They're like little invisible ninjas out in the water. But because crossing the beach at the end of the day is the scariest time of day for these little birds, there is safety in numbers. So what these little birds are doing at the moment, I wonder if there's a few more or if that's still the original group. I'm not too sure. They're waiting for it to get dark enough, and they're probably listening out to some of their friends out at sea making a sound called a huck, which sounds like huck, huck. It's like a location call out. Is it dark enough? Can we cross the beach yet? What do we think? And then once there's enough penguins, once they feel like they're safe, although that penguin right kind of on the right hand side, it was just preening itself, didn't look like it had a worry in the world. So yeah, these little penguins are just trying to decide whether they are going to cross the beach just in that little waddle, in that little group, or if they're going to wait for some more penguins. So I'm interested to see what they decide to do. Now, before they start crossing, Megan, do we have many close guesses for the grand total of penguins that crossed the beach last night?
We do. So as far as I can see, Michelle is the closest, and she guessed 832, and she was only 5 penguins off. We had 827 penguins cross the beach last night. So well done, Michelle.
Good work, Michelle. Again, I always make this joke and I'm going to keep saying it. We might have to employ you as a penguin counter because, as I said, we do need people to count penguins every single night here at the Penguin Parade. It is very, very tricky, very technical job, but I reckon you have the skills to do it. And I also reckon these little penguins have decided that even though it's a fairly high tide, there's not a huge stretch of beach for them to cross tonight where they're kind of going to get stranded in the middle of the beach. And so yeah, they've decided they can cross all by themselves. So this stream is going to be running for approximately 20 to 30 minutes. If you've ever watched me on the live stream before, you'll know that I do tend to push the boundaries of the time limit a little bit. So I'll try to give you, as Megan's just...
I'm going to keep you in line, Jordan. Don't you worry.
You can try. So we'll try to give you as much time with the little penguins as possible. But I reckon it looks like these little birds have safely made it across the beach to these little resting rocks. And I assume we've had a start, Megan?
Yes, and we had 11 penguins in that first group.
There we go, 11 penguins. And I believe it's Kerry counting tonight. So you will be trying to guess tomorrow's penguin numbers. If you want to know how many penguins cross the beach tonight, you will be kind of going up against Kerry, who's counting all these little guys for 50 minutes crossing the beach tonight. And as I said, it looks like they've made it safely home here on Phillip Island, here on Malau, which is the name given by the Bunurong, who are the traditional custodians of this land. Here on Phillip Island and the Bunurong, the traditional lands of them go almost all the way up to Melbourne. And I was going to say, it looks like we've got a few more penguins hanging out behind them. And the Bunurong have been caring for this country, for Phillip Island, Malau, and the Bass Coast over many, many thousands of years. So I want to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the way in which they've cared for country over so many thousands of years. And again, in the comments, if you know who, oh my goodness, that is a lot of penguins. If you know who the traditional custodians are of the land that you grew up, where you're on right now, please let us know in the comments and show your respect. We always love it when you do that as well. So yes, poor Kerry has a little bit of a tough job tonight, and it almost even looks like the tide is continuing to come in. So that little stretch of beach that Kerry has to count all of these penguins now, It's only a very short stretch of beach, which means it's a very tricky thing to count. And if the tide is only coming in higher and higher, it's only going to get more and more difficult from here. So send your love to Kerry in the comments. I'm sure she will appreciate it. But we'll see that some of these penguins hanging out on these rocks are going to stop and have a little bit of a relax, maybe catch their breath, do a little bit of socializing. But some of them are just going to completely march on and start heading back to their burrows. They've got things to do, they've got places to be, and some of them will not be wasting any time. And that's a little bit exciting. I'm not sure. I know you were on the live stream last night, Megan, but our pool is back.
It is. We had a lovely little wallaby having a big drink from that pool. A few people were actually wondering, Jordan, is it saltwater or freshwater?
Of course. Well, it's probably given it away a little bit if a wallaby's drinking it. But this is fresh water here. My goodness, there's penguins everywhere. And the penguins are super lucky because tonight they get to swim part of the way home and not waddle the whole way, which is much more preferable to these little penguins because they are much more agile in the ocean and through water than they are on land. But yeah, that little puddle of water that we saw, in fact I might as well just head back to it now because we're talking about it. It's fresh water from Swan Lake, so it's kind of like a flow from Swan Lake, which is a big kind of body of water a little bit further up the road from the Penguin Parade just here. And it looks like we have a lot of penguins zooming on up the highway, so I might flick over to them just now. And they are on a mission. Again, they are zooming. We've got some nice chunky penguins here. It looks like they've had a very successful day or couple of days, maybe even a couple of weeks out in the ocean, because as I said, these little birds, they spend about 80% of their lives out in the ocean and all the time. So these little ones, this one at the back could have gone out this morning and has come back tonight, or it could have been out there. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Or it could have been out for a few days or a few weeks. Usually the fatter the penguin, let me try and catch up to them and see their little bottoms waddling up the hill. Yep, there they go. Usually the fatter they are, the longer they've been out in the ocean. Or it means they're just really, really good at finding food for themselves, which means they're a very attractive mate for when they are heading right into the breeding season, which is just now. So as I said, it's a very exciting time here at the Penguin Parade because there's a little bit of love in the air. And we might be lucky enough to see some courting or some mating behavior tonight. So definitely keep an eye out. And if you're really lucky, Megan and I might demonstrate what two penguins showing off might sound like. So I might keep you waiting
for that one. I thought you were going to say something else.
Megan, there's children watching. What are you talking about? She's a bad influence on me.
I meant the sound, Jordan.
Of course you did, I'm sure. So I'm not sure if this little group that we have here on the rocks is part of that first group, and now they're just starting to kind of move on back. But there will be more penguins starting to cross the beach. I reckon any minute now, because they do come kind of in small groups that might. In fact, am I talking too soon? Oh no, I thought that might be another little group coming out on the rocks, but I must be mistaken.
We did have a lot of guesses for that last big group.
Oh, yes, tell me.
People were very close. There was 85 penguins.
85 penguins. So we got some very accurate penguin counters in here at the moment.
Yes, they were definitely all around, kind of around the 80s and 70s. They were very close. I'm impressed.
I think some people have been watching live Penguin TV and they're getting very, very good at estimating those little waddle sizes. I reckon I've found one little buddy hanging out right at the edge of the water. He's kind of swimming back in the shallows. You can see his little head just... Oh no, there's two of them bobbing up there. Again, I wonder if they're waiting for some more reinforcements out in the ocean so that they can cross the beach in a slightly bigger group. Oh, yep, you can see... No, wait for me. They're kind of getting... split up a little bit by the waves, or they might decide to be super brave and cross all by themselves. Oh no, racing back into the water. I don't blame you. It is a big scary world out there crossing the beach, little penguins. You only cross when you think it is safe to do so. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, Megan is going to be looking through your comments on Facebook and YouTube and passing it through over to me if I take a breath and let her interrupt me with a question. So Megan, how about we have a question while we're watching these two, I think it's two little penguins hanging out right at the edge of the water.
Thanks, Jordan. It is tricky to find a break in your commentary. So, no, we have plenty of questions coming through. Ted was wondering, at sea, do penguins fish in groups or individually? And do they go to the same areas all the time?
Ooh, very interesting question, Ted. So typically penguins do tend to forage solo out in the ocean. It's not when we kind of see them coming in at night. Oh, I've kind of lost sight of them. Oh, I think they're just kind of off the screen to the right. Where'd you go? No, penguins, you're there. You are. Found you. Yeah, so they're usually foraging kind of out there by themselves, sometimes in small groups, but it's not the big groups that we're seeing right here at the moment. And the second bit of the question was, do they always head to the same area, was it? So sometimes yes and sometimes no. It all depends on the season, Ted. So sometimes their food out in the water, mainly, or they love small fish like anchovies, little whitebait, baby barracuda, cod.
There was a shell critter on the highway camera.
Oh!
I think you may have just missed it, but I have a bit of a delay here, so I just spotted it. So we'll keep an eye out for it coming down the rocks.
Very good. Okay, well, I'm going to quickly answer.
Sorry. I just saw it and got
Who
excited.
brought her along? She's just interrupting me. Goodness me, not inviting you back, Megan. Joking, love you.
Wow.
Hang on. Why have these guys washed up so far that way? Sorry, Ted. I know I get thoroughly distracted by penguins. I hope you bear with me. Where are the penguins? Come on. They must be kind of forming some nice big groups out in the water. So penguins will forage where the food is. So sometimes the food is nice and close. In fact, I think it might have been last year there was quite a lot of penguin feeding happening just off Cape Wooloowai, which is on the other end of Phillip Island. There was some nice kind of big kind of bait balls of fish, lots of yummy food for penguins and seals, dolphins, whales, all kinds of things. But sometimes these little penguins might have to go a little bit further away from Phillip Island, sometimes heading out kind of south of the Wonthaggi Wind Farm. That's quite a popular spot. In fact, I think it was last year that was where a lot of our penguins were heading to find food during the breeding season. Some of them head down to kind of the waters around Wilson's Prom. Some of them will head, almost near to Tasmania, right into the Bass Strait. So again, every single penguin is different. It depends on the time of year. It depends on the type of year. Is it a warm? Oh, that penguin is racing on back. That's probably because you found some more friends, although it only looks like it's one more friend out at the water's edge. But there's... What are you guys doing? I cannot keep up, everybody. I'm so sorry. Although it looks like we might have had a couple of penguins cross, maybe on the resting rocks. I'm getting a little bit dizzy trying to search for them in the ocean, so I might focus on these penguins here on land just for a little bit. So I think I answered the question. It depends on the time of year. It depends. Some years the food is a little bit closer, depending on the weather, depending on the ocean currents and changes out in the ocean as well. So a very long way of saying usually forage alone, and they find food in all kinds of different places. So I hope Ted is happy with that answer, Megan.
I'm sure. It was a very thorough answer. Thanks, Jordan.
Again, getting very, very distracted as well.
Well, while I have a word in, Ahana is 7 years old and wants to know why those two penguins aren't crossing.
Oh, Ahana, was it?
Yeah, well, she's a bit worried about them.
Oh, Ahana, yes. Look, some of our penguins can be a bit of a scaredy cat sometimes. Because crossing the beach is the scariest time of day for these little birds, they want to be really sure that they've kind of got all their friends. They want to be sure that it's dark enough so that a big predatory bird like an eagle or hang on. I think I might have spotted something a little bit interesting. Spotted a penguin going the other way. I wonder if that could potentially be our shell gritter. So it's the one kind of at the bottom of the screen right now. Just want to watch to see if it continues on down to the beach, which might be very exciting. Oh, I think you might be. So yeah, what those penguins are waiting for, they're waiting to kind of build up the courage. They want to probably see if there's any more penguins hanging out in the ocean that are going to cross the beach with them, because there's safety in numbers. And when they head back across the beach at night, they want to make sure they're not gobbled up by any of those big predatory birds. So they're just kind of waiting until it's time that they think it's going to be safe. Now, you might recall Megan saying that she spotted, and our Waddle watchers who watched the live stream spotted something that we think is a shell gritter, and that is kind of looking like exactly what we're looking at right now. So when female penguins are getting ready to lay their eggs, in the last couple of days of egg development, that's when the eggshell starts to form. And what female penguins do is they're very selfless. They kind of, the calcium from their bones is stripped away so that they can make that eggshell really strong and healthy, which means that the mama penguins have calcium cravings. So female penguins that are getting ready to lay their eggs, if they've been on land during the day, because sometimes they might decide to spend a few days on land, they will, when it gets dark enough, start making their way down to the ocean and looking for little bits of rocks or shells, we call shell grit, to munch on, because that's like a little bit of a calcium supplement. So you can see that this penguin that's hanging out in the middle is definitely on a path the other way, and I'm not sure, oh, now you're going to hide behind that little wooden box over there. You probably noticed it was kind of looking down towards the ground. So again, looking for those little bits of shell that she can eat and then extract that calcium to make her eggshell nice and strong. So if we can keep an eye on her, although it does kind of look like we've lost sight of her, hopefully we'll just be able to see her. Oh, is that you? I'm not sure. They all look the same. There's 32,000 of them. We can't possibly keep an eye and know every single individual. I'm very sorry, although I'm kind of suspecting that it's this one that's kind of got its back to us at the moment. I could be very wrong. But yeah, so that's potentially a female who's going to be getting ready to lay eggs in the next couple of days, which is very exciting. And yep, I think I've got my eye on you, girl. And that's one of the ways that we can tell the difference between a male and a female penguin. If the females are going the opposite way in the breeding season, it's usually to go down to the beach and get some calcium supplements. Oh yeah, what are you looking at just here? And I did have another point, but it's just completely gone out of my brain, Megan. That's okay.
It's been a long day, Jordan.
It has been a long day, but that's okay. I get to spend the evening with you guys and penguins. So yes, that's what I was going to say. I was going to talk about penguin vomit. Of course.
Of course.
You know, you probably know... Oh, is that potentially a second shell gritter? Hang on a minute. There's another penguin going the other way. Again, the penguins just interrupt us. It looks like it, because normally penguins aren't heading that opposite way. So very exciting. So potentially some eggs will be laid in the colony very soon. But if you've watched me on Live Penguin TV before, you probably know that I enjoy talking about penguin poo, not just because it's a funny topic, because it tells us lots of really great things about penguins, what they're eating, and things like that. But of course, I also like talking about penguin vomit. One of the things that penguins do when they vomit is to feed their chicks when they've got them in the burrow. But shell gritters, while we're still on the topic, once they lay their eggs, they don't need that calcium anymore. So they actually vomit up those seashells. Oh yeah, definitely looks like I can't tell if that other penguin that's kind of closest to us was that original shell gritter, but it looks like the one a little bit further back might be a female. Very exciting. But yes, the females do regurgitate. They throw up those shells after they've laid their eggs because they don't need that excess calcium anymore. So if you're at the penguin parade, and it looks like we've got a few more friends who have decided to cross the beach. If you see any little piles of shells out the front of penguin burrows, there could potentially be a mama penguin inside sitting on one or two little penguin eggs. And Megan, I think, is waiting with bated breath to ask me another question or give me some details. Yes. So what's up, Megan?
Well, Jordan, a lot of people have commented that you've moved away from your usual topic of poo to talk about vomit. So I'm going to bring it back around.
Oh, beautiful.
Because Jenny wants to know, why is penguin poo white?
Why is penguin poo white? Oh, very interesting. So Jenny, was it?
Yeah.
So Jenny, there's penguin poo colours can vary. Megan and I have a lot of experience dealing with penguin poo because last year, while our sites were closed to the public, one of our jobs was to go and collect penguin poo out from our study sites at different kind of stages of the breeding season, because we wanted to know when penguins are sitting on eggs, when they've got chicks. We want to know a whole bunch of different things, where they're feeding and what kind of food they're eating as well. So I might follow these guys across the puddle now. Why not? look at them swimming along. And so, yes, penguins do kind of have white. Oh, there was a bit of a tumble there. I don't know if you guys saw that on the left. Yes, they do kind of have a little white aspect of their poo. Is it urea?
Yeah, so
Yes.
they don't make urine like we do. They
Yeah.
don't process it quite as much.
So they pretty much poo and wee at the same time, essentially. And
And the white bit's a wee.
the white bit's the wee, but sometimes penguin poo can have some little green splotches, and usually that means if it's a bit, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I hope you're not eating dinner. If it's a little bit gloopy, if it's a little bit, don't know why I did that, not actually touching the penguin poo because that would contaminate it. It means that the penguins have been on land for a little bit longer. It means that the poo sample is a little bit more degraded, so they haven't been eating much fresh food. Let's now jump to the Penguin Highway and hang out with these guys just here. But the best kind of poo that we can get is when they have kind of an element, it's like a browny grey kind of colour, and when you put it in a little test tube with some alcohol, you can shake it up and it sparkles, and you can see the oh my gosh, what's it called? Not shells. What do fish have? Scales.
Yes, a grey sparkly poo is a good poo sample.
We got very, very excited when we had a good grey sample. It means that, the sample isn't degraded and they've been having some really high quality food. It means it's really fresh. So very, very exciting. Oh, and I'm going to jump now back to our beach because we've got a few more penguins getting ready to cross the beach. So yes, the white bit is the wee, but yes, they poo and wee all at one time. So again, hope that answers your question. Was it Jenny?
Yes. Yeah, I definitely think we answered that question. And Jordan, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Year 5 students at Saltwater who are watching Penguin Live TV as part of their virtual camp. We're sorry they can't be here, but we're glad they're watching with us.
So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope you're learning some fun penguin facts. I'm sorry we've talked about penguin poo so much, but you know what? Who doesn't like a good poo fact? And you know what? I'm going to tell you another one.
Oh, I think Year 5, I think you really start finding poo pretty funny, so go for it.
It never stops getting funny, does it? These penguins poo at the highest velocity of any animal in the world. So if you see a penguin pooing on the live stream tonight, please do let us know in the comments because you will have witnessed a Guinness World Record and you might be able to help some other people view a Guinness World Record as well. So we very much appreciate that for sure. Now let's have a little bit of a look. I'm interested at the moment in this little penguin who's kind of crouched down, hanging out in the vegetation just here, because it looks like, are you a little bit lost or are you heading back to your burrow? Is your burrow nearby? Not sure. We will have to watch and just wait and see what this little penguin does. But these little penguins all having a nice big yawn after a big day out in the ocean and a little bit of a shake to de-stress maybe. So these little penguins, they've got their own burrows. They've got their own little address that they'll head back to when they come home. We always used to think that penguins would always return to exactly the same burrow night after night, year after year. But Megan and I found out quite quickly working with the penguins out in our research study site that sometimes they like a little bit of a change of scenery. They normally hang out in the kind of similar area to where their parents raised them, but sometimes they might kind of move to a burrow next door if there's an empty nest box or if there's an empty kind of natural burrow as well. So yeah, it's really interesting getting to see the penguins. You kind of get to know them. Now you're hiding from me, how rude. They normally, and there's a few more crossing the beach. I think that penguin is a little bit camera shy there. So yes, they do normally return to the same burrow or at least to kind of a similar area. So I wonder if that penguin that we were just kind of watching before, I wonder if its burrow might be nearby. It's got a beautiful beachside residence and not a whole kind of big hike to get home. Unlike some other penguins that they might have to walk up nearly 2 kilometers to get back to their burrows. And I don't know about you guys, but after a long day swimming out in the ocean, up to, maybe 100 kilometers a penguin can travel in a day. That includes lots of dives as well. You're exhausted and it's a lot easier for these penguins to swim rather than waddle their way home. And some of the, the hills here at the Penguin Parade are pretty steep, so they're very tough little birds. I wonder if it's kind of like a Tough Mudder race to them, having to jump over rocks and dive under, I don't know, all of those things out in the ocean. So they're very tough, very cool little birds. Now, Megan, I've noticed that I've been talking for a fair while, and I reckon fairly shortly Megan's going to tell me that we are going to soon run out of time. So I reckon it might be time for us now to answer a couple more questions before I get too more distracted. Let's be honest, probably talking about penguin poo.
You are correct, John. We're getting to that 5-minute mark. So,
But 5 minutes?
Jordan, remember, you're behaving tonight.
Never.
It was probably a 5-minute mark a couple minutes ago. So.
So 5 minutes from now?
I was going to give you a Jordan 5 minutes, which is 10 minutes. So,
Okay, fabulous.
Don't confuse me. I'm going to give you a question. So Riley was wondering, how long can penguins survive without eating?
Ooh, Riley, how long can penguins survive without eating? So, good question. Oh, and there's a penguin going the wrong way. Are you a penguin mama to be, potentially? I'm not sure. So Riley, the longest that a penguin will usually go without food is kind of late summer, early autumn, and that can be up to about 2.5 to 3 weeks, because every single year these little penguins have to lose and replace every single one of their feathers. So you will never see a penguin in this colony with grey feathers, because they lose and replace them every single year. So a 1-year-old penguin and for example, a 26-year-old penguin could theoretically look exactly the same. But in order to have a brand new set of feathers every single year, these little penguins have to spend about 2.5 to 3 weeks on land with no food, no water, no swimming, no fun. So it's quite a tough time of year for these little penguins, but growing that brand new set of feathers helps keep them warm and waterproof out in the ocean for the following winter. And it's really important that penguins stay nice and warm and waterproof out in the ocean, because otherwise they can get too cold, and if their feathers aren't in really good condition, it can be really, really tricky for them to swim. But in order for these penguins to spend, that 2.5 to 3 weeks on land, these little guys have to nearly double their body weight. So you've probably seen we have some certified chonkers already coming on land here at the Penguin Parade. There's some nice chunky penguins out in the colony. I want everyone at home to imagine them double the size, not height-wise. They kind of put on weight kind of outwards, so their belt buckle might have to be loosened a little bit. But yeah, they have to kind of stock themselves up on lots of fish so that they can survive that 2.5 to 3 weeks without any food. So it's pretty incredible. But yeah, otherwise, during winter, if penguins are out in the ocean, for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, they're eating multiple times a day. So they are living the life. There in winter. But yeah, it's when there is the molting season, that's when they have to go for a slightly longer time without food. So great question, Riley. So we won't see any molting penguins here at the moment. As I mentioned, we are kind of starting to make our way into the breeding season. We've already seen some shell gritters here tonight. I don't believe we have any or many penguin chicks in the colony at the moment. It is a little bit too early for there to be chicks right at the moment. But if you hang around, if you come and visit us here at the Penguin Parade, or if we're doing live Penguin TV kind of more in December, that's typically when we get to see some nice fat fluffy chicks coming out of their burrows and harassing mum, dad and every other neighbour who might be around. And where are the penguins? Rude. They are being very evasive here tonight. So yes, again, hope that answers your question. I wanted to zoom out to see, I can see a little bit of action going on kind of on the dunes over here, and if I zoom into them, hopefully we'll be able to see any more penguins that decide they want to cross the beach. But like we can see, we've got a few little penguins hanging around here, taking in the view. You can see they are not fussed by the people here whatsoever. We're just part of the landscape here at the Penguin Parade for these little penguins. And you might have noticed that a couple of times as I was moving the camera around, there were some people on the Penguins Plus stand, which is the viewing stand just below where we are here. So we're really happy that we've been able to invite regional Victoria back to the Penguin Parade, and we're hoping that the rest of Victoria and the rest of Australia will be able to join us soon. And of course, anyone who's joining us from overseas, fingers crossed we can have you back here as soon as it is safe practically safe to do so. But yes, we do have people here at the Penguin Parade at the moment at a limited capacity, which is great for us because we're a visitor-funded non-for-profit conservation organisation, which is a fancy way of saying the money that people bring in through buying tours, tickets, souvenirs goes directly back into the conservation, education and research work that we do. So protecting penguins, Australian fur seals, eastern bar bandicoots, koalas that we have at the Koala Conservation Reserve. So if you've fallen in love with these little penguins and what we do, oh, what are you doing? Ooh, were you trying to collect some nesting material and... what are you doing? I think it kind of looks like it's... Are you? Yeah, it looks like it's trying to... It's got... Ooh, that's an interesting sign. So let's keep following this little penguin over here. It's got some vegetation in its beak. Again, I know I get very, very distracted with live penguin TV. When penguins... Oh, yep, you're doing it again. Oh, interesting. When they are getting ready to have eggs inside their burrow, they do have to do a little bit of burrow renovations and make sure it's a nice kind of, cozy, safe environment for their eggs and their chicks when they're laid. So that penguin looked like it was... You're going to do it again? Going to collect some nesting material for some vegetation nearby. Oh, yeah. I wonder if you're preparing to have some eggs or some chicks very, very soon in your burrow. You can see it's really pulling at that vegetation. So doing a little bit of, spring cleaning or some home renos, if you will. But I think I was in the middle of saying, while I got very distracted by this nester over here, is that, we cannot wait to have you back here with us. Of course, we love bringing live Penguin TV to you guys in your very own homes, but more than anything, we would love to have you here with us. And that goes, as I said, directly supporting the conservation work we do, helping to protect penguins. But if it is going to be a little while before you can visit us and you want to know what you can do to help, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation. Oh, you got something nice in your beak there? Yes, I think you do. You can adopt a penguin, you can adopt a seal, an eastern barred bandicoot. You can't adopt a ranger, which is a little bit of a slip of the tongue that I made, I think, last week or so, and you water watchers have not let me live it down. Oh, we've got a few more friends hanging out at the water's edge. So if you would like to adopt a penguin or help support us through the Penguin Foundation in any way, we would be eternally grateful. So thank you so much to anyone who's donated in the past or to anyone who's thinking of donating in the future. We love you guys for it. Megan wants to talk to me again. What's up?
Oh, well, Jordan, since we're almost out of time, I was thinking there's one more question that I think you'll be able to answer well. So I know you love doing your penguin noises, but talking about all these different animals, Jay was wondering what our bandicoots and our possums sound like.
You are cruel. Look, this is a little bit of a point of contention with Megan and I. Both her and I have been out on... I remember there was one night that we were out on... Ooh, what are you guys doing? We were out on Churchill Island running... potentially getting ready to run a bandicoot tour. Oh no, you're going to keep on going. And we were just kind of watching some bandicoots play around. And again, I'm so sure this is what I heard. But Megan's like, it didn't sound like that. It sounded like this. So I think we're going to give each of you our impressions of what a bandicoot sounds like. So if you're going to try and embarrass me, I'm going to embarrass you, Megan.
That wasn't my plan, Jordan.
Well, too bad.
Intentions only.
Rubbish. You love any chance to embarrass me, just like I love any chance to embarrass you. Don't we all know it? So normally bandicoots are pretty quiet, but it kind of made like, now I can't even remember. It was like a... It's like a really weird spitting sound. And it was when there was kind of two bandicoots close together. So I don't know if that was them kind of showing off or if that was them kind of being a bit more territorial. But that's how I remember the sound. What about you, Megan?
I thought it was more of like a...
No, it wasn't that high pitched.
Well, actually, I thought of a way people can see who's right.
Okay.
If you listen to our EBB episode of Nature Unfiltered, you may hear a bandicoot noise in our podcast episode, and then maybe this debate will be solved.
Rubbish. I know what I heard. And the other one was a possum, right?
A possum. I love the possum sounds. Can you do it, Jordan?
Hang on. I gotta I'm probably going to need a sip of water after this. It's like a... oh, no, hang on.
Do you want me to do it? I think it sounds kind of like someone cackling, because I always used to have one outside my window as a kid.
Oh, yeah?
It would make this noise. It was kind of like... I'm really glad I wasn't on camera doing that.
I'm going to have to go back and watch my face. I think it would have been absolutely terrible. It's like, weird, like hissing, cackly sound. It's definitely not something that I regularly practice doing. So I might have to come back on another night of Live Penguin TV and really kind of hone my possum sounds, I guess. Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome. Got to diversify your different animal languages, Jordan.
You bet. I can't wait until our short-tailed shearwaters are back so that we can try and do some of those imitations. I know Megan and I like to try and practice. Now, one thing that I realised that I kind of alluded to earlier in the live stream is that we were talking about how, because there is a little bit of love in the air, that Megan and I might demonstrate the sounds of penguins kind of in love or showing off or trying to be territorial. So if Megan and I were a penguin pair trying to court each other, what would we sound like, Megan? You're welcome.
And do you want a bit of what does penguin mating sound like?
I would love that, Megan. Can you please demonstrate nice and close to the mic?
Let me do my best. It's a bit like...
So for anybody's reference, that is the male penguin on top of the female penguin, flapping his flippers really, really quickly so that he doesn't slide off. In fact, this is a really good point to kind of demonstrate. You can see how nice and shiny their feathers are as they are heading up the highway. So you can imagine if a male penguin was on top of the female penguin, it could be a little bit slippery. So yeah, he has to flap his flippers very, very quickly again so that he does not fall off. And I think that's probably about all that we will talk about for penguin mating and probably even the live stream tonight, because oh my goodness, looky me. I have decided to go well and truly overtime as promised and as threatened. So Megan, unless there's any burning last minute questions.
No, I think we're well and truly out of time, Jordan.
Of course. Alrighty, well thank you so much everybody for tuning in to another night of Live Penguin TV. You might see a familiar face on tomorrow, so if you're keen to learn a little bit more about penguins and see how many penguins crossed last night, and what the penguins are getting up to tomorrow, make sure you do tune in, same time, same place, either on Facebook or YouTube. If we didn't answer your question tonight on the live stream, keep tuning in and keep asking those questions. We do get so many night after night, so please don't be offended or upset if we didn't get to them. There are so many different questions. Again, we can't possibly get to all of them. I know that our Water Watchers or our regular viewers out there do a really great job at answering some of the questions, because a lot of them have been watching Live Penguin TV since day dot, which was about a year ago now. So yeah, please hang in there, keep asking those questions. We love all your love and enthusiasm at penguins and listening to us. Oh, and we've got a wallaby hanging out up here, another neighbor of the penguins. And look at me just dragging out the live stream. You know exactly what I'm doing, Megan. Stop laughing at me. It's just pushing me away. How rude. This is my time, Megan. My time in the sun.
I think the power's going to her head.
The penguins are going to my head. Okay, let's focus on the beach for a last kind of little view out there. Another great way, if you would like to learn a little bit more about what we do, as Megan mentioned earlier, we do have a podcast out called Nature Unfiltered. Check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. Of course, here on the live stream, we are talking all things penguin, but there's a lot of other great programs and more penguins at the water's edge.
Jordan.
Can't help myself. So yeah, there's a lot that we can't cover here on Live Penguin TV from the other animals that we work with and the other conservation work that we do. So if you're interested to hear more about koalas, eastern bar bandicoots, our pest animal program, what else have we got that's out so far? There's a few penguin episodes, of course, and a few more mystery ones to come up in the future as well. Do check us out again, Nature Unfiltered. We would love for you to get involved in that as well and learn a little bit more about what we do. And I think that's about all I had to say. It's probably time for us to officially clock out. And oh my goodness, I've made it a late one tonight. So Megan, come on in. Let's say goodbye in Penguin language. And again, we will see you same time, same place. Looking forward to having you along again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Bye.
See you later.